I've lived in this house for 8 years. I mow my lawn, I wave at the neighbors, I pay my HOA dues, so you can imagine my confusion when a woman I've never met tried to unlock my front door with a key she claimed worked for every house on the block. When I confronted her, she didn't apologize. She called 911. She didn't know. My son was the dispatcher who picked up the call, and she definitely didn't expect what happened next. But before we get there, let's rewind. Because this story isn't just about one entitled woman with a fake master key. It's about a power-hungry HOA board, a neighborhood teetering on the edge of petty tyranny, and a woman who thought she could break into my home and still come out the victim. But here's the thing about self-appointed neighborhood rulers. They forget. Some of us play the long game. And I had a plan. It started with a letter, not from the city, not from the bank, from the HOA, written in Comic Sans and laced with passive aggression. Dear resident, it read, your mailbox is 1.3 inches shorter than HOA standards. Please correct this violation within 48 hours, or face a fine of $75. That's when I first heard of Linda, HOA president, or as everyone whispered, Karen-in-chief. I didn't react. I adjusted the mailbox, let it go. But then came the second letter. This time about my porch lights. Too bright, apparently. Then a third. Trash cans visible on non-collection days. They were inside my garage. That's when I realized this wasn't incompetence. This was surveillance. Linda wasn't just enforcing rules. She was hunting infractions. I tried reasoning with her at the next HOA meeting, calmly, politely, but she cut me off. Told me I should read the bylaws before purchasing in a governed neighborhood. The kicker? She didn't even live on our street. She lived on the next block over. 2 weeks later, I caught her on camera again. This time, trying to open my front door. That was just the beginning. At first, I thought she'd mistaken my house for someone else's, but the footage told a different story. Linda, holding a jangling keyring, trying 2 keys, then peering into my window like she was inspecting a rental. When I confronted her, she smirked. These keys work on most houses here. Yours must be a special case. A special case? That's when it clicked. She believed she had the right to access any home in the neighborhood. I posted the footage on the neighborhood app. The comments exploded. One neighbor wrote, wait, she said my house was overdue for inspection. She has keys? That week, I got a $200 fine for non-regulation holiday lights, a warning for plant overgrowth, and I kid you not, a notice claiming my chimney color was not HOA-approved gray. It didn't stop there. She left HOA pamphlets wedged under my windshield. She tried to tow my car from my own driveway, claiming visual obstruction. The tow truck guy refused and warned me she threatened him too. Every minor thing became a weapon. And then she snapped. I came home one afternoon to find her yelling at my teenage daughter through our doorbell camera, accusing her of squatting. I'd had enough. I filed a complaint with the HOA Oversight Committee. Nothing. Turns out, Linda was the Oversight Committee. My neighbors started whispering about their own run-ins. One got fined for the color of his garden hose. Then came the day she called 911. I was working in the backyard. My son Elijah, a 911 dispatcher for our city, called me on break. Dad, a lady just called saying she's being denied access to her property. Gave our address. I walked to the front. There she was, red-faced, holding her keys and yelling at the operator, not realizing the person on the other end was my son. That's when I knew. It was time to end this. Pulled every video clip I had, from her peeking in my windows, to trying my lock, to confronting my daughter. I printed out her fake fines, the letters, the keyring screen grabs. But I didn't go to the HOA board. I went to the city council and the local news. Turns out, while HOAs have autonomy, forced entry without consent, not so autonomous. And that keyring? It was traced back to a contractor's lockbox from a house that sold 3 years ago. She wasn't authorized. She wasn't inspecting. She was breaking and entering. On camera, multiple times. We held a neighborhood meeting. Not an HOA meeting, an emergency town hall. Neighbors brought their own grievances. A stack of them. Linda tried to object, claimed we were violating board procedure. But this wasn't a board meeting. This was justice. I posted flyers around the block. Linda is not your landlord. One night, I installed a sign on my front lawn. Protected by 911 dispatcher and 4K cameras. Unauthorized entry will be prosecuted. That's when she stopped walking past my house, stopped sending letters, and the city began a formal investigation. 1 week later, Linda was removed from the HOA board. Not voted out, removed. Turns out, once the city got involved and discovered her unauthorized use of the keys, misuse of HOA authority, and harassment reports from 11 households, she was done. Neighbors watched as she packed up her car and left town for an extended visit with family. The board held a revote. A retired firefighter named Carlos took over. First action, burn the fake bylaw book. We all laughed. Elijah, my son, framed the 911 call log and gave it to me for Father's Day. It hangs in my hallway. My daughter started a little side hustle. HOA Karen-themed yard signs. Bestseller. This house is not a model home. And the locks? Changed. Cameras? Upgraded. HOA? Reformed. Linda? Last we heard, she tried joining a gated community 2 towns over. They denied her application. Some people move into neighborhoods and build community. Others build little kingdoms in their heads. Linda wasn't just entitled, she was empowered by silence. By neighbors too exhausted to fight, too polite to push back. But here's what I've learned. Politeness has limits. Boundaries are healthy. And sometimes justice starts with a camera and a well-timed phone call to your son. If someone tried to use a master key on your front door, what would you do? Let me know in the comments. And if you made it this far, comment "Justice served" so I know you're one of the real ones. And hey, watch your mailbox height. You never know who's watching.